Okay, now let's close every single fucking window. There we go. Greetings and welcome to Depths of Gaming episode the 26.
Good morning, comrades! And we actually have comrades now.
Yes.
We have, like, people that are watching, which is amazing.
Yes, there was in fact a time last week where we were watched. It was amazing. We had a great conversation with people, and we caused a great controversy. 'Cause what happened is we covered Wild West Online and we posted it in the Wild West Online Reddit. And that caused a nice little discussion there. It was quite fruitful.
Yes, at least one person watched the entire thing, which is at least what we can gather from Google Analytics.
Yeah, according
which is amazing.
Yeah, according to
Thank
Google
you, this
Analytics,
one person.
we have actually had an episode where it was watched. Like, this is a milestone that I'm proud of, because it hasn't happened before. Holy crap! Thank you, people that click just to talk shit about us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Your emotions give us power. They really do. No, there's no such thing as bad publicity. That's
apparently.
I mean, there is, but not at our level.
Yeah, pretty much, yes.
Feed me your rage.
Yes, anger. Give in to it. Give in to the dark side.
Though, before we continue, I do want to say that we are not clickbait. We don't say crazy shit just to get likes. We say crazy shit because I'm from California. We say crazy shit because sometimes we believe it, sometimes we don't, but we're definitely not lying, we're definitely not making shit up. The whole Steven Berku thing, that's real. He's really he's really being paid by the War Z people to, like, obfuscate that. We figured that out. Like, we didn't make that shit up.
We still have a little bit to learn in terms of trademark, copyright, and what was the third one?
Because there was a guy who was trying to be on War Z's side of the argument. They were saying, "Oh, but on his website he has all of these credits listed," and I'm like, "Wait, he does?" And sure enough, I looked at his official website. He fraudulently claims that he works with Atari, with Univision, with, like, all of these companies that don't actually exist anymore.
Yeah.
And there's no sign.
Yeah.
And there's
Atari,
no sign.
I know that if it exists only as a like a trademark for a bigger company. It was bought a long time ago.
Yeah, well, it was bought a long time ago. My point is that this guy was trying to pretend like I was wrong because the official website of the person we were talking about listed these things. And of course, I checked up after him and realized, like, there's no way he actually worked for these things. I researched it. Turns out he's just lying. Then there's it just came out that DJ12 Entertainment, which is the company that Steven Berku was doing the filing for, the new version of the War Z developers, they've actually been trying to legitimize themselves. They're working on like 10 or so movie adaptations for video games, including We Happy Few.
Oh, interesting.
They're the company that's supposedly working with We Happy Few. And so now a thought occurs. If I'm right, then they're not really going to make that movie. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So now we just wait. Because here's the thing, people pretend like I say, "Oh, I'm always right. I research everything and I'm always right." No, I fucking am not. I never make that claim. I never say I know everything, and I most certainly don't think that I'm always right.
We definitely learn a lot on this show, and with that, let's move to the wonderful news that we have today for you guys.
Stellaris.
Yes,
Synthetic
Stellaris.
Dawn has finally got its price point, release date, and its features list.
Back to our bread and butter, Stellaris segment.
Oh, Stellaris segment, we missed you.
Yes.
We missed you so much. I wanted to give it time for like the because it's understandable to be like, oh, new Stellaris information the first couple weeks, but then it gets to the point where they're just talking about the same thing over and over again, and you have to like let it play out.
Yeah. Let it pickle a little bit. So, what do we have?
Well, as
Synthetic Dawn, right?
Yeah, as always, Synthetic Dawn is being released alongside the major patch, which now let it be known that I talk a lot of shit about Wiz Antwoord. I talk a lot of shit about Wiz Antwoord. But it's not that I hate him or I don't respect him or any of that. I just like making fun of him. And the reason I mention this is that it turns out I was pronouncing the name of the patch completely wrong. It's Chapek, not Kapek.
Oh, I see.
Well, because he's Czech, and I guess Czech people have... I guess there's a silent H in the Czech language, which I did not know. So it's the Chapek patch that is going to be released. And of course, we talked about it then, we're going to talk about it now. The very second we heard the name of the patch and researched it, we figured out, oh, this is the robot patch, thank God. We were asking for this one for a while.
Yes, it's definitely going to be something very useful.
And
because robots didn't get a lot of love.
Because how robots used to work is you'd research the technology and then you would get droids, which is just like basic automatons that do labor. And then as you research physics technologies, you get the ability to upgrade your robots into robots, which are they're like C-3PO they're like a VI. They aren't sentient, but they can hold a conversation.
I see.
Where C-3PO is very close to a synthetic. He has dreams, he has opinions, he has a personality, and if you were to remove his AI brain, you would be removing him. Mm-hmm. Like, that's essentially what a synthetic is.
Yeah.
So
step below synthetic intelligence, but step above a simple script.
So all those mechanics are staying in place because that's how the synthetic evolution path works, introduced in Utopia, is you develop the robot technology and then eventually you just become the robots. Mm-hmm. Where now...
One with the Matrix.
Indeed. Now, machine empires are slightly different. How a machine empire comes into existence is... A regular FTL empire starts to exist. It's just before they reach FTL, a major event happens, replacing the majority of the species with a robotic species, a machine empire. Now, the standard machine empire just like phases out organic life and replaces it. Some event killed off all of the organics, and now they're the species. They're the singularity. Because now, instead of hive minds being a specific ethos type, now it's called Gestalt consciousness, and it's an authority type. You're either a hive empire or a machine empire.
Oh, interesting.
So instead of machine empire being a whole new authority or being a whole new type of ethos, it's just a expansion of the hive mind playstyle. Mm-hmm. With the major difference being you have to build your population units. Usually. Because there are 3 kinds of special machine empires that were introduced. There's the rogue servitors, the driven assimilators, and the exterminators. No, wait.
I see.
Determined exterminators.
Determined, okay.
Yes.
So they are determined to kill you.
Yes, well, the assimilators are driven, I think. But either way, is the difference is essentially how they treat organic life. One of them, of course, just wants to destroy all humans. All organic life must be purged.
Yeah, basically the Reapers.
Yes, they work a lot like the Fanatical Purifiers and Devouring Swarm, with one exception. They have no problem with other mechanical empires. They just don't like organics.
Ew.
Because normally you just don't get any diplomacy whatsoever. Now, machine empires that are exterminators, they don't have that penalty with other machine empires because they're not organics. They are fellow perfect or immortal machines. However, they do have a problem with rogue servitors. What the rogue servitors is, it's basically like WALL-E or specific episodes of the original Star Trek, where an AI exists. There's an AI that controls the entire empire. There are machine empire pops. It's just that the organics weren't destroyed. They were instead replaced. They grew so dependent on the machine race for survival that they eventually just became a client race. A lot like syncretic evolution works.
That's cool.
However, there's one difference. These biotrophies, as they're called, generate unity the same way that livestock pops generate food. They ignore the building they're on and just create the resource. For instance, if you were to enslave a race and turn them into livestock, it wouldn't matter what building they're on. They'd just have a special food production building that generates.
So basically, the creepy thing. They do the creepy thing.
No, they do. They do the They don't do a creepy thing. They just imagine being in a hotel. Imagine that the Empire is a hotel and all organic life is like guests. Mm-hmm. That's essentially how rogue servitors work.
I see. Oh, yeah, I see. Okay.
They don't do anything to the pops. They just give them a good life.
That's nice, I guess.
Now, the ones that are creepy are the assimilators. Because they gradually shift organic pops into cyborgs and cyborgs into machine pops.
Oh. So resistance is futile.
Resistance is indeed futile.
Yeah.
I mean, there have
That
been
sounds amazing.
there have been other species like that, but the Borg is kind of the one everyone knows.
Yeah.
Yes. So, again, we've been asking for this for a long time. And the very second Hive Minds came out, people were shouting, "But I can't be the Borg, I have to be the Borg. What the fuck, Paradox?" And they went, okay, come on, give us a break. This takes time.
Yeah, Paradox is assaulted by a lot of different requests.
I mean, now to be fair, there are times where Paradox does really meet bad shit, like when the price fiasco that happened a couple months ago, and
yeah, we shit on them from time to time as well.
And Wiz Antwoord's notoriously iconic misogyny rant, which, by the way, he alluded to in a recent stream without mentioning that he was the bad guy.
Oh, of course, because he's the good guy. We all know that he's the good guy. It's obvious that he is the good guy.
Because he listened to the militarist VO line that everyone was getting upset at, and he was like, "Oh, I love this so much. Oh, they needed that so bad." Because he was saying, "Oh, well, people were saying that militarists aren't supposed to be like
Militarists are
mature
supposed to be
and
masculine."
Well, no, he was saying that militarists are supposed to be disciplined. Like, that's what he got out of what everyone was saying.
And not about the Dogs of War.
And not about the fact that the Dogs of War line makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Why do aliens know about dogs? Do all organic life use the word dog?
You know, we have to realize a single thing. Dogs are transdimensional creatures that live on every single planet where life is... on every single planet that is capable of sustaining life.
Apparently.
We will go to fucking Europa and we will find swimming around Labradors.
Absolutely. We're going to go to a water world and we're going to be like in there researching with submarines, and all of a sudden, tap, tap, tap. What the fuck's that on the window? It's a dog. How'd you get down here? Woof, woof, woof.
Yes. And it's all, and it will be known as dog in every single language.
Indeed. Doesn't matter how weird the language is. Dog.
Yes.
Thank you, Paradox. You have created a meme. Okay.
Yes.
The other major thing is that this is also kind of the second political patch. Because Utopia was sort of the political patch, but it wasn't, but it was, but it wasn't.
There could be more done with Utopia.
Now, to be fair, Utopia was a huge step in the right direction. That much is certain.
And a lot of fun.
And a lot of fun. But there were a couple things that just needed touching up on, and they addressed that. So now any regular Empire is able to access any Ascension path, regardless of what ethics they chose. However, there are counterbalances, so you can't abuse it. For instance, if you're spiritualists and you research robots and you're like, we love robots, then you're going to find a lot more materialists population units in your empire. Because they're going to be like, wait, I thought our religion doesn't believe in these things. Maybe they're not all bad. And on the flip side, you can be
Burn the heretic.
you can be a hardcore robotic civilization and be like, mind bullets.
Yes.
The other thing they're doing is that they're buffing the biological ascension path, because now they know everyone's going to start going for the other two again, so they just made it better as well. I think they get like an extra trait point, and the special traits that they are allowed to use are costs a little bit less, so you can abuse that even more. Especially because now there's a template mechanic. So you're able to have like a template set up where you have the perfect slave species, and just keep adding to that number of perfect species you have.
Nice.
Because they have a few awesome slavery traits that they can give people. Like, for instance, naturally delicious. That was introduced in Utopia. You're able to genetically modify a species so that they give more food when turned into livestock.
Sentient species. Let's make this clear. You can make sentient species naturally more delicious.
Yes. And because the big thing with Utopia was enabling people to have special purge types like livestock and stuff. So you're able to go like Psycho Growth Empire if you wanted to. And the reason I mentioned purging is they are going to make it so everyone but xenophiles can purge. Can displace.
But xenophiles can purge.
No, xenophiles still can't.
Oh, I see.
Because they're like, but aliens are people. We can't kill them.
No, they're not. They're cattle. Eat them.
So because the thing about the refugee mechanic is you almost never saw it.
Yeah, it was never affecting you. Basically what happened with refugees is you displaced them and the game actually deleted them without any kind of consequences to the player, one way or the other.
Well, no, most people would just regularly purge them.
Yeah. And now, when you create refugees, when you displace people, they actually go to neighboring empires and ask, can we live here? We kind of got kicked out.
Because the thing about that is xenophilic builds require you to accept refugees. So that's kind of where they're usually going to run, is to xenophilic empires, because they're like, hey, we like people. You can have rights here.
Diversity, yay!
And that's the other thing that the bio template thing is going to change, is xenophilic empires are going to be so much easier to biomod.
Oh. Well, yeah, that's because they like the genetic diversity. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, no, because there's a bug where if you are in the middle of a genetic modification project and you colonize a new planet, those populations won't get included in the project.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I remember that.
Yeah, we talked about this before. It's really annoying. However, that's getting fixed with the template mechanic, because now you're able to just flag a population unit to get turned into that. And that's going to be great. Let's see here. I'm not sure why I closed my list of feature changes. Live!
Live, everybody!
Let's see here. Everyone can become...
Megastructures receive a major buff, yes?
Oh yeah, we'll talk about the megastructures buff in a second. I still want to talk about just regular patch changes from Chapek.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh yeah, they're nerfing the shit out of pacifism Unity builds.
Oh yeah, I've heard something about that. Basically, pacifism was so easy to churn out Unity that people basically said, okay, this is OP, we need to nerf that shit.
Right. Because how you could do it is, if you want pacifism, it was either a 20% or 40% Unity buff. And that's powerful, but not as bad. Where it got bad is because you're a pacifist, you could pick Agrarian Idyll, and that allowed all of your farms to create one Unity.
Mm-hmm.
So now you start the game creating about 6 Unity. But it gets even worse. If you take Xenophobic, you get access to a special civic called Inward Perfection, which also gave you a Unity production bonus. So you could get up to 50 to 60% extra Unity. And then the first perk you pick is Inward Perfection, giving you another 10%.
So basically, OP, please nerf.
Yes, it was insane. So how they changed that is now pacifism gets no Unity buff. Now they just get a flat production increase.
Which makes sense.
Yes, it does, because instead of focusing on war, they're focusing on just living, really.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're going to produce more food, energy, and minerals, and they're going to just be a more self-sufficient empire. They're going to be valuable trade partners for sure. And the other reason I mention this is because Inward Perfection, that Unity production nerf got nerfed by 10%, and now they work a lot like Fnatic Purifiers, only they can still make trade deals.
Mm-hmm.
Where, because they're pacifists, they don't want to kill everyone, they just don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah, they want their own little corner of the galaxy. They want their resources and they want to settle, and they don't want to deal with you, gross alien creatures.
Yeah.
They don't want to kill you, they just don't want to look at you.
The other big change is now instead of flat unrest decreases, it's always a modifier now. So like Police State gives a 25% less unrest, Spiritualist gives whatever percent less unrest. And the reason for that is it was really easy to abuse. And you just forget to build defense armies because you got the unrest penalty, or you got the unrest modification. Now you actually have to remember to build defense armies. And yes, this kind of makes slave builds harder, but this patch is also buffing them too. You'll see.
Yeah. The best suggestion that we can give: go buy it. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, by the way, did we mention it's $10?
Yay!
This
microtransactions.
This giant patch is $10.
Oh, I wouldn't call it giant.
It's a pretty fucking big patch.
It's big, but you're a little bit too flattering to it.
Utopia was 20.
I wouldn't still call Utopia big.
Exactly.
Well, I would call it big, not giant.
This is more content than Utopia, though, and it's half the price.
Yeah, but we were talking about this before the recording.
Yes, and you kept talking about semantics between DLC and it's like
and expansions.
And he thinks they're two different things. I think that they're just the same word that's changed meaning over time. And so, side with either of us as you will. I'm leaving it there. But I argue that Synthetic Dawn has far more content and can be called a big expansion, a giant expansion, because for one, it's technically replacing the Rogue AI crisis. Now it's becoming the contingency, and Machine Empire Risings are becoming a different thing. They're like a regular event that can happen.
Yeah, basically, I'm arguing that this is not really like on the level of Witcher 3's Wild Hunt or Blood and Wine expansion. Blood and Wine expansion or Hearts of Stone expansion. It's not that big. It doesn't throw in like 2 quarters
Christian,
of more game.
One does not simply compare to the best developer in the industry.
Well, yes, I know. That's because CD Projekt Red is basically returning to something from the 90s, where the expansion pack was actually adding so much to the game, you actually almost got another game.
Well,
right?
Yeah. The other thing we call back to is Brood War. That expansion pack was famous for how much content it added to the game.
Yes, these are expansion packs. They add like 33% more game. This adds maybe 10? 15 if you're generous.
What the fuck ever. Let's see here before I talk about mega structures. They're changing the traditions tree a little bit. They're mostly just swapping around where bonuses are. For instance, they're making it so now prosperity and discovery don't reduce station costs. That was something that people tended to go for first, and it would just confuse their build. Because you're saving 30 minerals per station. Every 2 stations you build, you're effectively getting another free. It's too good. So of course they're going to remove that.
Of course.
And now for finishing prosperity, instead of reducing terraforming costs, it reduced consumer goods costs. So now it's really good. Because, yeah, terraforming is okay, but the consumer goods costs. Ooh. Especially if you're playing, like, a super happy Xenophile build, you really need consumer goods to be as dirt cheap as possible. The other big change is they're changing how levels work for leaders.
Oh.
How it used to work is it was 1 to 5, and you could get perks that increase how many leader levels they start with. And they removed that and replaced it with what's called a leader level cap. So now it starts at 5. 5 is the max level, but as you get researches and civics and what have you that increase it, it goes, excuse me, up to 10.
You're not excused.
I'm sorry. So the net result is leader builds are far more viable now. Because when you get like +1 leader level cap, well actually, let me rephrase. Now extra leader level XP builds are really attractive because you're able to really power through that.
Nice.
And Ascension perks, they changed it 1 vision so it doesn't give unity production. Now it's just plus 50% government ethics attraction. Mastery of Nature has been nerfed. Now it's 50% blocker clear cost. And the reason they did it is because in the same case as the Discovery and Prosperity trees, it was one of those things that was kind of a duh choice.
Yeah, they are good at removing duh choices.
That's a theme with Paradox. They have duh choices, but they remove them over time as they realize that they're not really conducive to what they want to do. Mm-hmm. The first duh choice, the first major duh choice they removed was colony ships. They used to force you to research colony ships at the beginning of the game, and they used to like pat themselves on the back going, oh, it's totally balanced, it always appears as your first technology choice. And then they realized, wow, this is really stupid, it's basically a noob trap. It really is, because if you don't already know that it's the first choice that you always get, you might not pick it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's nice that they at least give that ability.
And speaking of the developer knows everything school of game balance, let's talk about megastructures.
Ooh, megastructures.
So the thing about megastructures is they were added in Utopia, but almost no one ever got to build them. And the reason for this was...
They're expensive.
No, even more stupid than that.
Oh?
The weighting on the mega engineering technology that is required to progress there has stupid weighting. Completely stupid. I
could see that.
Because here's how it works.
You can win a game before your first mega structure, yeah?
You need 3 technologies in order to unlock mega engineering. You need 0-point reactors, fortresses, and battleships. Mm-hmm. Now, according to some tech trees that I've seen, it's only fortresses, but I'm 100% sure it's all 3.
Of course.
Well, not 100%. I'm like 95% sure. I'm 95% sure that it requires all 3.
Okay.
However, there's a trait called maniacal that's usually required for all of the rare technologies. Mm-hmm. It's not one of the ones that you need.
Oh, it's not?
Because here's how the weighting works. Is it's times 2...
I thought that you would need to be a little bit insane to create megastructures.
Because it's currently... You get times 2 weighting if you have master builders. You get times 20 weighting if you have a ruined megastructure in your territory.
Oh, okay.
But you only get 0.25% weighting if you don't have either Curator or Voidcraft Mastery, which is the basic ship researcher technology. Mm-hmm. The one with the little ship icon.
Oh, okay. It makes sense. Kind of.
So, unlike every other technology like it, it simply will not appear if you do not have the correct traits.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah, you have to. So you have to have a curator scientist in there to do it. And as Martin Atwood remarked, is of course I knew how to do it, but it turns out no one else did.
Yeah, there's a lot in games. I guess it could be checked to game design, where the general abilities of players are not on par with what game designers imagine. Because something that is obvious to the game designer might not be obvious to the player.
Well, they know how it works, for one. Wiz knows for a fact that if he has the curator technology, he's going to unlock it. Wiz knows for a fact that if he has these technologies, he's going to unlock it. So it doesn't take him as long. But for everyone else, they're not going to automatically know that only 2 traits are going to unlock that perk or that technology.
Mm-hmm.
And it's critical for that build. Because without it, you don't get either the resource capacity or literally the right to do it.
Yep.
The other thing is that with just spamming habitats, you could get even better yields than the actual megastructures.
Wait. Are you saying that you can actually balance a planet better than a megastructure?
Yeah, if you build the same amount of resources for a Dyson Spear as habitats right now, you would actually make more energy.
Oh, I did not know that. I need to try that out in my game.
And that's why they're nerfing the production of the solar collector building for habitats from 8 to 6.
Oh.
The other thing they're doing is they're making it so master builders, instead of increasing the weighting of mega engineering, it just gives you mega engineering.
Okay, that's understandable.
So a Unity build, which by the way is who they thought were going to get access to these first in the first fucking place, is actually able to quickly get megastructures if they need to. Because that was the whole point of giving pacifists the insane Unity generation, is they were supposed to quickly be able to farm the unit to up the path.
Yeah, because otherwise they would be much slower in terms of expansion and production.
Right. But it turned out not working as planned whatsoever. And alright, we're finishing up on Synthetic Dawn, because finishing up about mega engineering is they're making it so Dyson spheres are going to make 1,000 energy instead of 400.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
That definitely sounds like a big number. We'll see how it works.
It's a lot. Gameplay. And now science nexuses are going to produce 750 science total. That's plus 250 for each kind of research.
That is big, because usually you don't get all that much.
Well, it used to be plus 80 for each.
Yeah.
So how they're balancing this is you're only allowed to build one. You're able to conquer other people's megastructures, but you're not allowed to build new ones.
I see.
And this should theoretically balance megastructures now.
Theoretically.
Yeah. But then again, Ring World builds are now going to be definitely a thing. Because now you're able to really speed up to that.
That's good.
Indeed. Alright, no more hearing me mumble about Stellaris patch notes.
At least for now.
For now. Mirage Arcane Warfare recently did a free-to-own giveaway. because their numbers are terrible.
Now, are their numbers terrible because they don't have enough notoriety, they don't have enough advertisement, or maybe players just think that their game is too expensive? That's the reason why they're not buying it, right?
Well, it's because people have moved on past paying $30 to $40 for an arena fighter that they can experience in any other free game.
So basically the game is shit.
Yeah, because it's just a it's the same engine and developers as Chivalry Medieval Warfare, only it's got an Arabian magic setting in it.
Arabian magic setting.
Yeah. So all the classes have magical abilities that they use.
I see.
That's the difference. It's otherwise a tiny arena fighter.
You know, it's a little bit like with Mario Galaxy. Once you send Mario to space, where do you go from there? The same here.
Well, it's
once
the
you
same
add
here.
Magic to Chivalry, where do you go from there? There's nothing new that you can add.
I have played this. I played in the closed beta testing where they pretended like they were testing the game, but they were really just like having the servers up so that they could pretend and say they did testing. Because they never asked us any questions. They never changed anything. It was just had a closed beta testing so they could say they had a closed beta testing.
Yeah.
There's nothing changed in the 3 months that I was testing that game.
Ever since Minecraft came out as an alpha and became a huge success, people began to basically throw themselves on those public alphas, those pre-releases, those betas, and it doesn't work. It's just a cash grab again.
Well,
another wonderful invention of indies turned basically corrupt by the
well, here's something I can tell you, Jahith, is that almost all games that have a closed beta period, that's the final version of the game a lot of times. I've played a lot of these games. The notion that the game magically has enough time in development where it's considered done is an urban myth perpetuated by people that do not understand how games are made. This notion that, oh, take as much time as you need, developer, I want to play the game when it's done. No, you fucking idiot. The game is done when they say it's done, and not a second sooner.
That depends on the developer, I would say.
Exactly.
Because there are developers out there that will shove out a very shitty game that's clearly not done, and they will say, oh, it's just beta, and they will never finish it. Never.
They never finish it because there's no one interested in what's clearly their concept.
It's not just no one's interested. They don't have the drive to finish it, because they can just as easily release another shitty, unfinished game and still get the money.
Well,
so
exactly.
Why the fuck finish games?
And now companies are relying on this Founders Pack scam, where they basically, if you're more interested in the game, you pay more money.
Mm-hmm.
And these features don't exist after the game comes out. It's just, this is your special pre-order period. And it's a scam. It's been turned into a scam.
Pre-orders, season passes, and microtransactions are all a scam. All of it.
And
And it's bad for consumers
And
too.
just
Never
in case
pre-order a
you,
game.
for some
Never
reason,
buy a season pass.
need evidence that it's a scam, look at Warzy, Nether, Crowfall, all of these games with Founders Packs. Look at them.
Mhm.
They're all priced to prey upon you.
Yeah,
They're
and
all
then,
worded
and
to
then
prey
even if the
upon
game
you.
gets released, it's going to get released, and then it's going to be all those different exclusive features that you got.
Everyone gets
all
those.
those features are going to be packed in in another pack of the game that's going to be half of the price.
Yeah.
Which is a big middle finger for the founders.
Everything you get in a Founders Pack, you will be able to get later in the game. It's a scam.
I feel sometimes so sad whenever I think about the state of game industry as a whole. It just hurts.
It does hurt. It hurts a lot because they will look at us and say, this is what people want. And what they won't tell you is that the people that want this are the ones cutting their checks.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell you that part. They're going to keep saying, oh, users want this. Users want this. No, they fucking don't. They want to buy a game and fucking own it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why subscription games went the way of the goddamn dodo. This is why games that rent you equipment, they disappear very quickly off of Steam because no one wants to play them.
Mm-hmm.
So this notion that if you repackage it and we won't notice, like, no, we look for this shit.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens when you repackage Chivalry Medieval Warfare, add magic, and put them in a tiny arena map. We're going to notice. We're going to go, hey, you're trying to rip people off. Alright, moving on. Malaysia has a beef. Malaysia has a whole beef with Steam.
Or at least had a beef with Steam.
Well,
or actually
yeah.
not with the Steam, but with one game developer. Or not the developer, but just one game.
You see, in my country, we have something called freedom, where you're allowed to say and think whatever you want within specific parameters. And these are very wide parameters. The exceptions are like insane shit. Like you can't say you're going to kill someone, blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, you have protected free speech.
Yeah,
unless
you cannot yell fire in a crowded.
Yeah, that's not protected speech. You're not able to like to call a race garbage. You're not able to do any of that white supremacist bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But we otherwise enjoy a lot of freedom, and part of this freedom is we're able to make games like Fight of Gods, where you play as a deity and in a fighting game against other deities. Now, this isn't new per se. There's been like 5 or 6 jokes like this before, but this is the first time it's gone this far. What happened is Malaysia forgot that people have the freedom of speech, and so they posted an ultimatum to Steam saying that if they don't remove this specific singular game from their catalog, they are going to block the entirety of the Steam store, and they quickly did so.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
and how well did how long did last it? How long did that last?
I mean, technically it didn't last at all because Malaysians immediately figured out how to do it, buy games anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's for the medium.
oh, you do? Okay.
I do.
because the store isn't the entirety of Steam. It's just a different server, because they have a server for games, they have a server for this, they have a server for that, they have a server for...
And the servers are in general like spread out.
And they're
like,
very...
It's not like there's only one server. There is like hundreds of servers for the entire world, so that you always get the smallest latency and quickest download speeds.
Yeah, so Steam has a worldwide server infrastructure. It's theoretically impossible to block the entirety of Steam.
Yeah.
So, and that's all that Malaysia did, is if you lived in Malaysia, you couldn't access Steam unless you used a proxy website.
Mm-hmm. Which, according to Malaysian law, is illegal!
Of course. How dare you try to exercise any kind of personal freedom? So Steam found out about this and went, "Oh God, what the fuck is wrong with you people?" And now, to be fair, they did do what Malaysia asked, which is removed the game from the store. The Malaysian store.
Yes, only that.
Only the Malaysian store. In a further move that can be only described as "fuck you, Malaysia." Because I looked at the Steam numbers. Malaysian gamers make up roughly 1% of all Steam gamers. That's about 2.5 million accounts.
That's a lot. Number, it's maybe percentage is not big, but 2 million people, that's hefty.
Yeah, it affects like a notable amount of people.
Now, imagine you are living in Malaysia. You pumped into the Steam's workshop like $1,000 for like 100 game or something.
Oh, you could still access your games. You just couldn't
you
buy new
could still
ones.
access your games, but you have to. It gives you a little bit to think about, because suddenly you realize the fact that as soon as Steam goes under, all of that is gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's fun. It's really funny in that regard that that they're fine with all these games about murder, death, and mayhem, but the very second you make fun of religion, they suddenly want to ban an entire economy in their country.
Because you cannot make fun of religion. Religion has a special, unique shield that prevents it from any kind of critique or commentary.
Now the actual reason that they banned the game is because the Malaysian government is anti freedom, and they think that religion is mandatory. This is the actual reason. Now, the fake reason that they told people was, "Oh, we respect everyone's view to religions, and we respect all these different views, and we respect them so fucking much. We really respect them." If you respected them
look how we respect them. So much respect.
So much respect and love. But yeah, they're lying bitches. No, you don't say, "Oh, I respect your rights to think whatever you want. Oh, by the way, you're banned from having any opinion."
Yeah.
Or yeah, we believe in climate change, but you're not allowed to talk about it, write about it, suggest it, or say it exists. Which, by the way, is my president right now.
You have a wonderful president.
Oh, I do. He is a wise orange king.
Yes. I'm just so amazed that America became such a progressive country. You got a black president, and now you represent people who are incredible minority, which are orange.
Well, it's obvious that all the Republicans needed to win was the Oompa Loompa vote.
Yes.
And they're all about, fucking them non-whites are evil up until they vote for us.
All non-whites are evil unless they are Oompa Loompas.
Oh yeah, the Oompa Loompas are taking our jobs. Oh no.
all those chocolate making and candy making jobs.
Yeah, hey, those candy jobs could go to white bread fucking good old boys in Minnesota, you know.
Yeah.
Who by the way think chocolate is like a racist term.
Bullshit.
Moving.
No one is that stupid.
You say that, but the KKK exists.
Yeah. Yeah, with their wizards. Yeah. By the way, they call themselves wizards not because there's like special meaning behind it. No, it just sounds cool.
Yeah, the entirety of the KKK naming scheme is off of what sounds cool. It sounds fucked up, but it's really true. Is they just took a bunch of words from other like things at the time and pretended it was them. But remember, they're all about America.
Oh yeah, they even issue passports.
Yeah, they call members. This is kind of neither here nor there, but they
yeah, it's not gaming, but
it's not gaming.
We stumbled upon it during the research before stream. And
we were doing some research, and it just stuck with us how stupid the KKK is. They call so usually when you're a membership in something, they call it being a member. They call it being a citizen. They call becoming a member your naturalization ceremony. They literally think that they're the true Americans.
Yep.
So yes, please punch your local Nazi in the fucking face.
Yeah.
And this is kind of actually related to what we're about to talk about. Dungeons and diversity. How do you make your table feel welcome? So...
do not draw attention to race. Race does not matter. Only the skill of the player.
So, there's been this hullabaloo recently where apparently...
Only one?
Where Dungeons and Dragons has been making a conscious effort to slip in more... not really PC, but like a more realistic and wider array of genders and nationalities. And now, to be fair, this has been a theme throughout 5th edition. There are female fighters in 5th edition. There's all sorts of like female examples of races, like. Religion is approached in a very, very mature manner. Stuff like that. And there are characters snuck in through a couple of the adventures now that they happen to be gay.
Yay.
They just are.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about it. It doesn't matter. They just are. And this, of course, has been pissing off the people that are really conservative, going, well, how dare you change my views? You homo-washing my fantasy games.
It's the homo gays.
Remove homosex, please.
Remove homosex.
And we're like,
Russia demands it.
What the fuck are you idiots talking about? It's nothing major. It's just this character happens to like penis and has one. This character happens to like eating out other women. This person believes in a magical spaghetti monster that created the universe. Like, there are just characters that believe and do things that aren't normal. That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a perfect safe space recreation of medieval Europe.
Because if it was, then they will all be dead, or tortured, or basically hunted down and killed.
Like, there was a conscious effort to make D&D not so much as a typical fantasy realm, but its own fantasy realm. This started with Greyhawk, with Gary Gygax, and they've been carrying on with it. That's why I always laugh at people that pretend like Pathfinder's a whole new edition and not just a separate setting in 3.5. Like, yeah, it's called Pathfinder. It's totally different. How? Oh, there are a couple rules that are different. You're stupid. How do you make your table feel welcome?
I don't know. Give people a hug.
It's really as simple as not saying really stupid shit.
And not be a dick.
Don't be rude. Yeah. Don't be a dick.
Yeah,
don't make off-color jokes. Like, I have a DM in one of my other games in Traveler, and one of the first characters we ran into was the German stereotype for a Jew. You know, like all evil and shady and Zionist and shit.
And greedy.
And really greedy. And I looked at him, I was like, I'm from America. I don't believe that. Like, you're just making me feel uncomfortable, especially because I was planning on inviting my Jewish friend to your game.
Well, you cannot be offended for someone else, right? You have to first ask your Jewish friend if they would be offended.
Well, there's a difference between being offended and being at unease. Because I'm not offended. I don't think he attacked me. I don't think he attacked him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that was a little kind of possibly shouldn't have been included in the game. It didn't add anything, and it just kind of made people feel uncomfortable. Even when the people could have just been me. I didn't think it was funny.
Did other people think it was funny? Definitely the GM thought it was funny.
The GM thought it was funny, yeah. But that's kind of more on my point against bullying in general is just because you think something's funny doesn't mean everyone thinks it's funny. On the same token, just because some people don't think something's funny doesn't mean people don't find it funny. True. Like dead baby jokes. The reason dead baby jokes exist is because there are people that laugh at them.
Mm-hmm. Aha.
Like true. That's it. So that answers our question, and we've that's our time for today. So thank you for listening if you did.
Yay.
We're not really at the point where we have viewers during the show yet, so there you go.
We're going to get there, don't worry.
But see you next week.
See ya!